if he sees the Thresh, right, as a potential pick into that one. So the options there, if you're expecting a Thresh Kalista rotation from EDG, have Ashe Tahm Kench and beat it.
So the reason why we see the Ashe first pick is that it's been Ruler exclusively on Varus duty so far this tournament. It's banned away. They haven't played since the first day of the tournament. They'll just jump on Ashe, like for like, utility AD carry to try and unlock Core JJ.
Let's quickly recap the bans before we move on. So it was Elise, Galio, and LeBlanc out from Samsung Galaxy. EDG took away Varus, Caitlyn, and the Zac pick. Now we're looking towards EDG once more for their first two pickups. They see the Ashe on the opposite side. They lock in the Kalista. We're looking towards perhaps a jungler now from EDG.
Yeah, going towards the Rek'Sai for Clearlove 7. Perhaps the way he goes, Gragas is also there if they want to pick up some other types of junglers. Maybe the expectations usually saying that Elise is picked, so we pick Rek'Sai, but it was banned away by Samsung Galaxy, so confidence pick for Clearlove.
And I think it feels like EDG are gambling that they can get Thresh as well, and they don't want Ambition to have his pick because Gragas is ultra comfort for Ambition. He's very happy, snaps it up with an insta-lock. The Thresh is the one variable that to me right now is up in the air, and it's a good read. It hasn't been prioritized by Samsung. It may not even, in fact, be prioritized by EDG, and maybe the LCK duo will be used as the kryptonite for Samsung Galaxy because every Korean team has been falling over to draft the Kalista Rakan this tournament.
So that was the Gragas in for Samsung. Also with the Braum, as you said, the read, assuming that it would be a Thresh coming out, but EDG, they mix it up and they bring out the Rakan.
And the mix-ups will continue because if you remember how the draft went last time, Mouse picked Renekton as the first pick on the red side, and then we saw the Gnar Syndra. Now, will Gnar and Syndra both be available in this next round of drafts? Already a Camille ban. Trying to keep Cuvée onto the dregs of his champion pool, away from the lane pressure fighters, is a real big win condition for EDG.
And of course, naturally, if you want to pick the Renekton still, you've got the second ban that can go towards the Gnar. That would be a very big indicator, however, quite early into this draft phase. They may not go towards that, and they may not go towards the Renekton as a result at all.
And there's the mind games about the mid lane, because Taliyah and Corki are available right now as well. Do you ban one of them and try to take the other? The Kennen ban is a legacy Cuvée pick, but hasn't necessarily been a big pick in Korea recently, so it feels a little bit like a junk ban. I'm just excited to see what the first pick on the red side is, because Blind Renekton was what caused a lot of the headaches for the side of EDG last time.
Because we could see that Gnar come out once more from Cuvée, and that was an absolute disaster. So we'll see what happens from here on out. It was the Rumble ban towards EDG, but they have something else up their sleeve. They just have to go for the Renekton here, and in fact, it's going to be Kled.
And Kled has lane pressure on a lot of these champs. Not at level 1 necessarily, but evolves so well against the Renekton if that is the answer. The Gnar isn't as favored in the matchup. You can do competitive, you can still draft Gnar and be fine in this situation. So we're looking for solo lanes. Important to note that Syndra is available if it wanted to be drafted for Crown, but because you have Wombo engaged, it might just be the Orianna.
And Syndra's very good for it. It's still a mid-range, as is Orianna. All it's about right now is that follow-up for the rest of the team.
And look, Ruler's happy to go team. He's going to go for the very early game and have early pressure, but kind of give up the fact that eventually Kled will be in a good stead in the 1v1 against Renekton. This is the moment that Orianna and Syndra seem like the big picks, but Taliyah and Corki could fit into this comp as well. The Orianna was the first thought. They do go with it, and it's basically Teamfight City for Samsung Galaxy, and early to mid-game bridge is what they focused on.
Now we have to see what EDG will go for from here, because Crown did have a monster performance on Syndra earlier on into the tournament, but it will be, as you said, Orianna in this one, Papa. Now EDG thinking about it, and it's going to be the Taliyah lock-in for Scout.
So, of course, no Syndra locked in. Still very difficult for Samsung to play around that with just the Braum as the only denial tool for Syndra's ultimate, but they still choose the Taliyah, and really, this to me is speaking all around that map control, being able to set up the wall, having the Tremor Sense coming out of the Rek'Sai, and the charge can coincide with all of this. Very LMS.
And the S word is gone. Scaling is gone from both teams. Sure, Orianna scales nicely. Sure, Kled scales into a good matchup against the Renekton, but there's no Cogmores here. There's no priority on a hyper carry. Both these teams can fight frequently, have early power spikes, and both teams seem to be jumping on to this new meta, the Lane Kingdom meta of focusing on lane matchups. There's a couple of different ways this can swing, but largely pretty even comps, and that really means that the junglers are going to be the final piece of the pie.
Yeah, pretty similar compositions in terms of power. Rusty, if you had to give it to a team, do you think there's any advantage?
I don't think there's an immediate advantage from the draft itself, right? We don't have lane counters to be seen specifically. Renekton, Kled decently even. The mid lane's just control mages. Your bottom lane 2v2, Braum's always super volatile. And to me, I wouldn't look at all the completed team compositions you can see on your screen and say, wow, one is just far superior.
Yeah, you have the small point of Renekton better 1 to 5. You have the small point of Taliyah better 1 to 8. So one lane kind of advantage on either side, but no one is really coming out with a big bounty, which means, guess what? It should be sick League of Legends that decides this game and not just the draft.
And really good opportunities for Clearlove and Ambition to make their mark in this game, right? If you've got two pushing lanes, one's top, one's mid, they may be revolving around those areas.
And I love the fact that these two are under the microscope, because if you add together their career games, I actually don't have an accurate amount for both players, but it's over 1,000 games very easily, because both of them are as elder statesmen and as can be. They've seen so many Nexus explode, so many games, and so many international stages. So seeing them fight in the same role in 2017 in a final, it's super awesome.
Crazy amount of experience towards both those players, but it's a team as well. The rivalry's there, and Raz was saying on the desk as well, EDG, they went for this earlier game composition, but Samsung have matched them right here to try and take the win as well in the early game. See if they can snowball it out. Well, we'll see which team will be able to take the win here as we head onto the Rift for our first game of the finals of Rift Rivals 2017.
LPL versus LCK Pulse, and there's not a lot of expectation for the LPL side after their performances yesterday. I'm sure you can attest to that just a little bit, Papa, but you never really know with the LPL sides. They can show up massive if they want.
And it's a rivalry as old as time. It's different to NA versus Europe, which has always been the Twitch chat rivalry, the trash talk rivalry. These guys competed many times. We go on a real grand adventure around the sides of Summoners Rift. But even pre the LCK and LPL era, we had these teams battling online. They've always been scrim partners as well, because you don't have the geographic disparity that North America and Europe have. So there's always been overlap between the two. Now it's in the limelight, now it's a grand final, and now the mind games of throwing out the 0-3 EDG as the first matchup, they start to begin.
So we're going to start with these jungle camps as well. So Ambition starting up in his red buff, getting some help from his bottom lane, but meanwhile Clearlove actually just starting on his Raptors.
Smaller leash than you'd expect on blue side. A lot of teams will have the Orianna pop the ball over, start on the small Raptors, then go over to red. So just a slight adaptation means the clear speed's not going to be as fast, but that Orianna doesn't give up the wave push at level 1.
And the bottom lane doesn't give up a lot of the lane pressure against the Kalista Rakan, right? They'll be able to equalize. You can see that now. If they stay for any longer or lose health on that red buff, trying to super leash for Ambition, then they can fall behind.
And I love the point that you make, because it feels like if you give a free level 2 to Kalista Rakan, Ash Braum probably have to surrender more than just CS, but pressure as well. Clearlove's going to walk over and wards. That's the first advanced vision either team will have, given the shallow starts, but there's a lot of focus on the lane here, as neither the Orianna nor the side of the Ash Braum want to surrender early tempo.
And this ward that we're seeing specifically that spotted Clearlove, whilst he now knows the blue buff's there, Ambition's going to play mind games, but his wards just died. So this is actually a guessing game, and Clearlove's got the Tremor Sense perhaps as a slight advantage there. And he's also looking towards mid lane, so there's opportunities when neither of them are doing anything until right now.
Now they're spotted here. Clearlove can go for a blasting plant invade and just go for the smite. Looks like it's going to be the plan. Clearlove waiting and waiting. Here he is.
Pops over the wall, but Ambition knew he was coming. Instantly gets the body slam. And it's a bit of a trade
here.
It's
all about the blue buff.
It's leashing onto Ambition. He's going to lose
involved
this.
as well. And the spike comes down. Goes up to Clearlove. Renekton coming out here as well. See if we can get the knock-up. Yes, we can. Mouse following after him. Ambition so low. First blood goes over to Scout.
Ward there gave so much information for EDG. They were able to match in terms of pressure, get there first. The blue buff steal was just the start. Ambition had to smite just to get a bit of health, and it didn't lead to anything in the end.
Exactly, and a lot of that trade and the outcome of it really does come down to the winner of the smite battle there. Just getting that extra health. Clearlove, there was no way he was going to die in it. Ambition losing a lot of health early just in the 1v1 trade from junglers, and I love that everyone came over. We had a 3v3 that early in the game. There was no separating factor.
And it was such a different type of early game compared to the Evelynn ganking bot lane and largely farming. This is Clearlove actually playing into the mindset of the enemy jungler rather than looking for a happenstance gank. We're going to see the replay. The information advantage wasn't really there, because of course there was the ward to spot him. They were playing the mind game. The mind game was won by Clearlove.
And curiously enough as well, doesn't use the explosive plan to get over here. Gives the opportunities for Crown if he'd like to come in and help, but Scout, he's here just in time, uses the flash, and is able to secure that auto attack. It's a red buff for the mid lane Taliyah, who is a ranged champion, so that can be rather gnarly.
Now when both teams have information, everyone thinks they're in each other's head, and this time it was Clearlove coming up ahead. So important for EDG. Again, in this odd spot of coming in 0-3 to get some momentum, because momentum is not something they've been able to carry so far this tournament.
It's also about the aggression, though, and you heard it from Koma earlier. He was saying that we can't disrespect the Chinese teams. They're going to come at us. They're going to come at us hard. And Clear starts off the game with an early invade. Everybody dogpiling on that play, and EDG, they make it work.
At the same panel, though, all 4 Korean teams said 3-0. They were not giving any quarter about what the result would be of this final. If you ask me, I'm not actually as confident. I do feel like specifically teams like KT and MVP could drop a game. Is the LCK favorite? Certainly so, but with an early game like this, is that going to decide this game? No, but is it as one-sided as the analysts are predicting?
And remember the last time that these two played against each other, it was still strong from ClearLove early. They got the kills in the bottom lane, and that mid-game, that slight turnaround where Ambition gets his eye in on opportunities is where everything changes. The one nice contrast between that game and this one is going to be the fact that it's a Rek'Sai, not an Evelynn. Whilst the pressure isn't similar, his ability to find Ambition will be far superior to the Evelynn, who was always at risk of dying in that 1v1.
Put on your back, you draft the Rek'Sai, you say, okay, I'm going to actually contest the enemy jungler. Mouse has been able to do competitively in lane. You actually see his up in CS after the rotation to try to contest the blue buff. So they don't have the counter pick in top lane this time. They don't have a jungle pressure advantage either. As Mako, well, goes wide on that grand entrance. We're not going to be too costly.
Of course, small detail in the Rakan Braum matchup is that you can always engage as Rakan. You're never really at risk of being immediately stunned, just because of how quickly you can go in and out. So it's nice to take those opportunities. The one time it works, maybe you do win that trade.
It's going to give mid lane a shot, but he's not going to jump for the flash right there. We would have put him right underneath tower with Crown with both of the summoners available. So rather than not, do get a nice knock up there onto Core JJ. Zet will probably chase down as well, get the run damage. So good trade there for EDG.
Yeah, I think ClearLove was just on the way through mid lane. He had no real idea of ganking the Orianna. Of course, Flash and Ghost available. It's all about this. Remember, that control ward was already there for ClearLove. He's going to where he had the vision set up. Yes, it's through mid lane, but Ambition has to check.
It's the natural flow-on of the pushing advantage you get with Tillia in the mid lane over Orianna early is 2 red control wards in this area. So Ambition, he pops down 1 super defensively, but he can't walk up until he gets some help.
I mean, he knows that the bottom lane is being pushed back right now. Zet and Mako have the advantage, but ClearLove says, no, not this time. We're going to back away from this play. I've already taken a lot of poke damage out from Ambition, so it should be the secure here out from Gregors.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Papa Smithy, but I do recall Ambition being very smart around Rek'Sai's tremor sense in the past, even in the LCK. Just very aware of knowing when to stand still.
Yeah, with the lower refresh rate, now that you get information a little bit less often, you are in position to have the mind games, like you say. And does it always work out for Ambition?
No.
Sometimes he gets a bit too clever and can kind of overplay his hand, but in that particular situation is able to complete his red buff. EDG have to back away. Haven't lost a control ward yet, but it's spotted, so it's information that can be passed over to Samsung, and the lanes as they're going just fine for EDG.
The one big difference, of course, is that bottom lane is ClearLove once again looking mid. The Rakan Kalista having push is difficult to do against an Ashen or Braum for the most part, just because of Ashe's trading, but having that lane control, having the ability to rotate into the jungle is why ClearLove's able to be so aggressive, and that to me is the biggest differentiator right now.
So this is constant challenging coming out from ClearLove, just appearing mid, appearing in the jungle. Meanwhile, on the top lane, haven't really spoken about it because there's not a whole lot happening. There's no real big CS lead just yet. Small amount to Kuve as he heads down, places down a ward. Mass already went back to base as well for his first buy. It will be the Tiamat, and should probably just walk back to lane here. I don't think he needs the necessary TP on that. Shockwave in the mid lane, just going to be pressure down on Scout here.
Kuve just trying to relieve pressure from the mid lane, because the person who needs their jungler in position to kind of relieve pressure the most is always the mid lane. It's usually the jungler that control wards one side or can invade and put down vision. Because Ambition has been shadowed by ClearLove so aggressively, Juve had the pressure, came down, did the team thing, and it's all about just giving free farm to Crown and waiting for him to come online later in the game.
Yeah, certainly is.
ClearLove takes up his red buff and may look towards the top lane now. And Renekton is walking back up there, but it's now pushing. It's going to be just buff donations right now. Taking a look at the ADCs, doesn't seem to be too much. Small advantage to Ruler. Both of them are going towards the Blade of the Ruin King build here.
And this is actually a really nice moment for Samsung to come back with an aggressive move, if they'd like, of course. The opportunity being that mid lane has blue. Ambition, once he recalls, will be able to reset the map. Same thing goes with bottom now. It's in that equal 2v2 footing. We've had our shops in. Nobody dies for it. So Samsung, now with the opportunity to use the vision that QV's even help to set up to spot Clearlove to start making those moves.
So you see 2 control wards on the map, 3 in fact from Samsung, all of them in their red side jungle. You might think, well, is that because we've seen Clearlove enter that area a couple of times? What's the mechanic there? Big story is it's trying to relieve pressure from the Weaver's Wall coming through to the bot lane. That is the path people want to take to cut off the enemy bot lane from retreating under turret.
QUARAKILL does have his ultimate, pops the dominance, Mouse is still chasing, but you know, it's going to reset the aggro on Skull, and it's just a bit too easy there. Well executed dive for EDG.
Yeah, all the vision around the bot side means was able to come up. Great pathing, intelligently done by the side of EDG. Gragas will come up and pick up the farm, but Ambition is a step behind Clearlove for the first 10 minutes of the game, and that gives EDG tempo for at least now.
And you know what? You mentioned the vision. That's absolutely correct to avoid Talia. At the same time, it would at least double up with the Rek'Sai control, but the other side of the map then starts to be completely cleared out. They see Clearlove at the Raptors, but having the awareness to know he's going to go from Raptors to Krugs, slowly over to the Tri-Bush and just immediately dive, really hard to predict.
It's one of the reasons why I love that the vision was moved to the trinket system, that we don't have 800 control wards on the map like Season 4. I know Mata's somewhere listening back. Oh, excuse me. I love that meta. But,
disagree.
And a lot of supports love that meta too, but the difference is when you only have a ward budget, that creates gameplay. The fact that they were like, we need to relieve pressure bot side meant they couldn't go top side and have the same sort of vision with the ward budget, 5 control wards on the map. So it's fun that EDG read the situation well, played around where they had strength, and that's going to only help Mouse get his items quicker. He's already ahead in CS in a matchup where they're supposed to eventually get stronger. And sure, he doesn't have the items to dominate Renekton yet, but we're getting there.
It's got to be a good morale boost, though, for EDG. The fact that Clearlove, you mentioned it before, Papa, you know, between these 2 junglers, they have so much experience between them. But Clearlove's clearly getting the better of Ambition right now. That bleeds over onto Mouse. You see getting the trades down to Kuve, and they're looking for another gank top lane on top of that. Kuve is literally just cowering in this bush.
Oh, we're abandoning top lane now.
Yeah, they're lane trading. Gragas has gone straight towards that bottom lane, and unfortunately for EDG as well, knowing that they don't want to defend bottom, they've rotated to mid, and Talia's gone top. So it will be a turret trade ultimately. Zet's just going to have to try and 1v1 Crown a little bit as Mako wanders for wards.
Here's a trade from behind, though. Tempo advantage with all the early plays means that Samsung weren't able to get the first brick as Ambition, well, he's going to tank it up. Doesn't need a health pool, apparently. And we'll just take down the turret. Now, Samsung being able to trade one objective for one objective from where they sit in the game is not ideal, but what's happening. But the bonus objective to be able to tempo seems to be Rift Herald.
And remember that extra step Mako took by going towards the mid lane means he gets to place a ward near the Mountain Drake, and he'll see if they even go over there to trade. What you're looking at, though, from Samsung is a slight adaptation. They're going to hard push bottom.
But it's only with 3. You know, it's not this a very serious investment into killing this turret. We see a very defensive run smartly from Zet and Mako. We're getting a lot of damage, though.
Yeah.
Getting it low. But this is the sort of health bar that is difficult to return to because it's a multi-step process to cleanly kill an inner turret. When teleports are up, when the mid lane can rotate so quickly in the form of Talia, there's no guarantee you can get back to that turret.
And remember, you need to invest extra members to go down to that area of the map when Clearlove's just picked up the Rift Herald at the same time. So the damage is great. It's not going to regenerate. But ultimately, whilst that damage is nice, when will they take the turret? When EDG now get to potentially push the tempo by having the Herald available.
Clear's going to sit on this for a while. He's moving into the jungle, and you can see all these control wards still there from earlier, out from Samsung. Places down a bit of a deeper ward, but again, there's just a control ward there too.
Yeah, ColeJJ was waiting to see if there will be an overreach from Clearlove and potential turn with Ambition and also Brawler on the bottom side, but not to be. Again, wave clear wars, you know, it's not Samsung's first choice, but it's still something fine. The Orianna in the late game will be something that can't be matched by the side of EDG, just like potentially if Kled has kill pressure on a Renekton in the side lane. It's one of the few things that aren't just equivalent across the 2 compositions.
It's very hard to beat Kalista into an Orianna if you're losing a team fight and not killing the Orianna already. So Scout's important, Mouse is important. And Zet, just based off the compositions, he's going to have a rough ride here. Still a lot of carry potential, though.
How long is it going to be before we see a fight over this dragon? It's a Mountain Dragon. We're 14 minutes in. I was told that both these compositions are early to mid-game focus. When's it going to happen?
I mean, getting the vision behind for EDG is kind of the minimum. That's the one place Samsung has been strong, is fighting back vision invades on their red side. So it's actually given the playbook so far, which has been very controlled from EDG, one of those larger risks that we don't often see. It's starting to be leashed. They're starting to play around it. They're starting to feel the pinch and feel like it's theirs.
Their Weaver's walled.
There's the wall. CoreJJ and Ruler. Actually, just going to turn it around real quick. They have a few more seconds to burn. Over the wall, here comes Ambition. The arrow as well. QUARAKILL jumps in, but turns it around once more. Here comes Mako, but he had the first kill onto CoreJJ. Chasing down to Ruler and Ambition. Mouse with a flash, but he needs to get out of here now. QUARAKILL in the back line. Big shockwave down. It's only onto QuarAKILL. He's still alive somehow. A mouse de-scarred, but still alive himself. Mako chasing down Ruler, but he gets behind the tower, and after all of that, it's just the one kill to EDG.
It is the 1 for 0, and the health bars are not ideal to try to turn onto Drake. They might just want to take their second turret of the game.
Yeah, it looks like they'll just commit to the turret. I expect them to recall once again unless they use Mouse as a tank. He's about to get Skull back. They've even pushed the Herald down here, actually, and by summoning this, my indications are that they will go straight to the Drake because Samsung need to deal with that Herald and actually hit him before he starts to take out some extra turrets.
Seems very unlikely that the Herald is actually going to get them really any turret damage. They might actually just be able to aggro the Herald and stop it from even getting a charge on the inner. Ruler being able to walk up to a Herald, hit the backside and take out a big chunk. It is a big objective gone, but I guess the timer was starting to get low, and the Drake is seen as enough of a reward for Rift Herald.
Decoy Herald.
They legitimately use it as just a trade tool, and the Herald's not worth a lot of gold. It's just necessary to be dealt with. And so by having the Ashe down there, yes, it was a waste of a Herald. Still, a trade's nice to have as we get to see the fight again.
And this is the sort of fight where EDG are on the front foot. Their item scanners are not really there. Funnily enough, Kalista, when she gets here, doesn't have Blade the Ruin King yet. So he watches things go. The CC is overlapped a lot onto QuarAKIll, and they just can't burst him down.
Yeah, really struggle to, of course. That's one of the strengths of Rakan, being able to shield him twice. Shockwave here, only hitting one very close to Zet. Little bit surprised, but it's because QV needs to immediately evacuate. And EDG, you'd say a bit unlucky they don't get more than one kill. At the same time, Samsung, you'd expect QuarAKIll was going to pass, but he didn't.
Yep, that Void Rush very good at keeping you alive for a couple more seconds, and that's what it did right there for him. Very low, but he still gets out alive. He's 2-0-1 now. Has a massive advantage over Ambition, though he has gone for the Cinder Hulk here, puts him slightly ahead in terms of tankier stats as we move towards that mid-game. Next dragon will also be an Infernal Dragon, so again, another dragon that both of these teams will want to fight over.
And I think it's fair to say at this point in the game, 16 minutes in with EDG averaging minus 1,800 gold at 15, that things have shifted overnight. They've found something.
I mean, they've been real rubbish so far, Rusty, so, you know, they should feel happy. It has been a good early game for them, but they were overdue one. If they had 4 woeful ones, then the next week of LPL casting would have been rough evaluating EDG.
Yes.
But it's good to see it. It's good to see them on the front foot. It's good to see QuarAKIll with a mission. You know, we talk about the Ambition solo missions, but QuarAKill's mission was clear. Contest Ambition. Stop him from snowballing. Your lanes will react, and they also played around Vision smartly. So I'm really got plenty of good things to say about EDG. Now, you would have said a lot of good things about EDG about 20 minutes into their game against AHQ, and then 40 minutes of expletives that you found other ways of saying on air. So there's still time. But for now, at least, EDG, the playbook looks clean.
Oh, yeah. We haven't hit team fighting yet.
We need to see if they can hold on to it, though, because Samsung just needs one team fight. And, you know, they're around that mid-game. They have an Orianna, they have an Ashe, they have all this engaged and a good squad to actually go for these fights. So anything can turn around. But for now, EDG do have the advantage, and we can't take that away from them.
I guess at this point, though, there isn't really a lot of things that they can work towards. The mid lane outer is one of the places where you would have wanted the Rift Herald to be placed towards to break that against the Orianna, against the Ashes of the world that are running around and actually controlling minion waves. Right now, EDG's response is actually engaging in the jungle.
Double knockup and the charm as well in from Mako, and Scout completely walls off the rest of Samsung. Down goes Ambition, and CoreJJ jumps to relative safety. In comes QuarAKill, Crown stepping up. Mouse will be zoning him away. And that's again another pick over to EDG as they take control over this red buff.
Just a DPS shockwave there to try to get the health bars, though. Obviously wasn't going to have kill potential. Renekton wasn't involved and didn't have teleport. So they give up one. Ambition too far forward, given the little vision they had. Another kill to pad the stats for EDG.
And just note that there's no shockwave for defending this turret now if EDG choose to go forwards on that. I can understand for the damage, but EDG, they start to step up more. Remember, the Ashe Arrow is the one big presence threat for them.
And QUARAKILL does a relatively good job of clearing out that mini wave with Slice and Dice, so Samsung do map the defense in mid lane.
So what I want people to watch is that we'll talk about the replay first, and Ambition walking up against the Rakan is the part that you have to take umbrage with. You might have thought, okay, Rakan doesn't have flash, so maybe the threat is a little bit lower, but it's still, where's the damn Talia? Where's the Rakan? They didn't have full information. Someone had to die. No one else did. Let's watch the shockwave here if we actually do have it in the replay. It's actually just to try to de-skull Mouse.
Yeah.
That's what they were looking for. Maybe they thought that would relieve pressure. But what I want people to look at home is how Crown, much like Faker, in these sort of games, will just say, screw it, I'm going to side lane for a while and get my items. And they have to look and really focus on the macro of EDG, just try and punish when a no teleport, at the moment no ghost Orianna, just visits a side lane to farm. You can do a lot on the map, you don't have to respect the ball or the shockwave, but this is what both Crown and Faker love to do. They say, okay, this team isn't going to have the multi-step pan to punish, I'm going to go bot lane and get another 30 CS and come up team fight ready 5 minutes earlier than other teams who are just trying to always group and pay respect to their enemy.
And you don't necessarily need to talk in detail as to why an Orianna without a teleport in a side wave is going to be one of the worst decisions, but it does work when teams can't react accordingly.
It's the worst decision when a team makes the right play, but when they don't, or when they're just feeling good about, wow, we got a couple of kills, feeling good, let's go back, I'm going to buy my Infinity Edge, you just kind of ignore or paper over the Orianna who got a cheeky 30 CS she shouldn't have had access to.
At the same time, EDG with these 4 kills is fantastic, but all of the kills have gone on clear love right now. It's just the best
What is it with these Rek'Sais?
Of gold.
Rek'Sais are just getting fed out of their minds in this tournament.
Don't worry, he doesn't have 4 kills. When we get to the 4 kill threshold, they always lose the game.
3 kills, probably okay, as long as we don't get any more on him. But still, next Dragon will be Infernal. It's coming up pretty shortly.
Big fan of the evolution of the build path for Clear Love. He is once again going for Knight's Vow second. Tiamat into Cinderhulk into Knight's Vow is perhaps what I'm most a fan of, but in this game, already Zet is basically super tanky. He's got Ninja Tabi and Knight's Vow, so specifically from physical damage, he can kind of laugh at the direction of Ruler for now.
They're actually going in here onto Core JJ.
They're going for a full engage right now, and that's going to drop the first target. Surely Ruler's still alive somehow. The dive comes in from Mouse, and he's still going. Clearlove wants to get this kill. Yes, he does finally with the help of Scout. The rest of EDG trying to make it out now alive as Ambition's coming in. Doesn't land the body slam as the flash comes in from Zed. Meanwhile, EDG have been completely split up. Mouse has been de-skulled.
He got him back!
He's got him back! MVP Skull gets his rider out alive. Hopefully, because Kuve's still coming.
You actually see the assist pings around Baron as they chase onto Mouse. EDG, one pick into Baron has been their playbook for the longest time. The reason why you didn't see a real contest from Samsung as a super overdive came through from EDG, JT-Mask from day one, is the fact that guess what? Crown was in the top side, picking up farm, taking turrets, growing a CS advantage over the Talia, and they only lost one, so given where the game was at, I think Samsung's just fine with what happened.
And that was honestly a very good outcome for Samsung. Crown's able to now rotate from top lane where he collected all of the farm, getting his items, comes straight down to the Drake after the fight ends. Samsung's goals weren't necessarily to 4v5, it was to survive.
And that's also just kind of go back and like, okay, someone died, they got an Infernal Drake, but also the walking wounded is the fact that the flashes are down from EDG to make that play. Mouse had to flash, Clearlove had to flash, Scout had to flash, Zet had to flash. 4 flashes for a 1-for-0, and they lost in objectives is a massive investment for very low reward.
Of course, they were just trying to double down, get the kill, take the mid lane tower, but they went so deep.
I mean, look, Orianna's not coming. Orianna's staying up top. No teleport Orianna in this game. And all these flashes get them a kill, and so little else. LPL teams love a dive. OMG already this tournament has made us smile and made me remember casting LPL. But when it comes to objectives, this could have been a 1-for-1 as well if the Skull hadn't come back from Mouse.
And look how close that was as well. Their auto attack was about to kill him, but he gets Skull. Skull's a bit of a coward. Only sometimes is he a hero, but this time he was a hero.
100%. And Ruler survived for a long time in that fight as well. He managed to kite back from what? In an outer turret to almost as in him, and he was still alive.
And that's one big concern for EDG as a team composition with crowd control. Their engages are lovely. You've got a Kalista Rakan combo, you've got a Rek'Sai knockup and Kled charges, but none of that is like a shockwave or a flash body slam as to how good it can be and consistently happening.
And while we can take a deep breath for a moment, I want to draw your attention to QV's build because there's no Tiamat there. He's going Blade the Ruin King second. We've seen Blade the Ruin King rush as well. Now, why Blade the Ruin King? We know what the item does. One interaction that's fun with Renekton is, speaking of Renekton,
he's getting chased down by Mouse right now, and
that was
not fun.
Yeah, how's that Blade the Ruin King going for you?
I guess that was LPL fun. But the thing that you can do here is you can open up, and if you have a Fury Ruthless Predator, you actually apply current health 3 times. And if that helps an Ashe, for example, to focus down a frontliner like Cinderhulk and Knight's Vow, Rek'Sai, and the fact that he has Lifesteal in the side lane, it's an itemization choice you can go. And sure, you don't get the ability to get out of your lockout with the Tiamat interaction with the W, but it's a nice little opening burst damage that Renekton's not normally known for out of lane.
Yeah, you would definitely say its primary purpose is for split pushing, and that would indicate where QUARAKILL wants to go for the rest of this game. But if he does get dragged into a team fight sometimes, he has to teleport in, then he can help protect his carries and take out Mouse.
It's weird to think of Blade the Ruin King as protection, but it's almost like, let's just focus down this guy diving you rather than the Hydra in the backline trying to kill him.
Oh, that was a lot of damage.
Mako still charging forward. Here comes the arrow and whiffs past EDG. That could have been very close, and TP cancelled out from Mouse as well.
TP down. QUARAKILL did not have to use his, so just happily having an adventure down bottom lane. CS leads growing for these side laners here on the side of Samsung. That goes a bit against the gold lead for EDG has narrowed as this game has gone on.
And the pressure's on this mid tower. You'd expect it actually goes down.
We're going deep. Triple knockup as well, and here comes the rest of EDG. Mako comes back into the backline once again. And Mouse, he's tanking out Core JJ. Here comes QUARAKILL onto the offside, and Mouse needs to try and get out alive. He wants Scar to come back. After all of that, no kills just yet, but QUARAKILL, he's still pretty squishy. Oh, Ray Seeker.
That's crazy that only one person dies here, honestly, with how good the engage was from EDG.
And there's big cooldowns available. Shockwave not used, but both summoners used by the Orion. They're going to try and walk up again. Risky, but maybe they've seen the worst of EDG's engage already.
Perhaps there's not a lot left, and Clearlo gets caught in the Shockwave. He will dash away before going back into his tunnel network and then teleporting back to base. So still, it was a 1 kill. But once again, Papa, we're in a situation where Samsung take objectives.
This is such a weird game. It's 6-0 in kills. The crowd has been hyped multiple times. But if you were like kind of recounting the story to your friend, it'd be like, well, EDG got a kill, and then Samsung got an objective, and then EDG got a kill, Samsung got an objective. We see the Wombo engage, but there's not actually enough. They start to get there, but it's only the one person diving in the backline. QUARAKILL, for as late as his teleport was at least occupying the time of the carries.
And for me, the MVP of Samsung there was actually Ambition, knocking away the damage dealers of EDG. The engage was immaculate. Kled gets into the backline, but if Scout's knocked away by a cast, then he's never going to be able to do the damage to follow up with those kills. The Wombo needs to actually have the damage there.
I think the biggest problem coming off the back of that fight is now that Kled has 4 kills on the Rex side, so... Is this the death note? Is it all just downhill?
I mean, I had to watch a 4-0 score who had got double kills in top and mid lane lose to Rox Tigers a couple of weeks ago, and it's infected this league. So I brought my presents from Korea, but unfortunately I have brought the Rek'Sai curse as well. That seems to, for some reason, be pervading the Rift.
Yeah, it seems good for you this game, right? Samsung are playing.
Look, they have something. They have someone who can turret dive. They have someone who can shrug off damage, and they have Zet, even tankier than before. Zet has his items together. The game doesn't really get much better for Zet and Score. Sorry, Zet and Scout. Score on the mind. Zet and Scout on terms of itemization right now. So if you ask me, EDG, they won a group 5v5 fight, but we got another Orion in the top lane.
And Talia Wall's actually coming in.
Doesn't cut off QUARAKILL, and he will jump away. Charge is coming up, but Scout is tanking this tower. He needs to back away while it's pretty much just QUARAKILL 1v1ing Scout into the tower, but that's going to be enough as Scout comes back in for seconds.
But this is under a turret, so they should actually get an objective for this. Samsung trying to make the cross-map play.
The threat of the shockwave, the threat of the arrow is always going to be there for Samsung.
Are they going to set the flash, the engage, cast goes wide. Still, the push continues in the mid lane, but looks like Samsung are trying to back away from here. Mako clearly threatening the front line. In the bottom, you can see Scout hammering away at the
They're going to stop
tower.
the recalls while Scout pushes, actually. I think that's EDG's plan here. Prey Seeker's very good at it.
Yeah, Samsung will just keep recalling. They can't actually channel the recall. Looks like Ambition's just going to walk down and try to buy time, but that will be inhibitor turret for the side of EDG.
And that's that one big trade EDG was looking for, getting the objectives with the pick, not defending a turret when they create the play, actually opening up space, getting those opportunities. Coincides with another Drake, it looks to be, for EDG as well. Samsung, though, they've got wards around the Baron. Feels like they could just walk there.
And it's going to be a really interesting game of vision control after this Drake goes down, because suddenly you're like, well, QUARAKILL doesn't have teleport. If that ever happens, I'm just going to split push your inhibitor. But to do that, you think, okay, how do I split push inhibitor? It's not just right-clicking working on the bot lane inhibitor. You need some vision control around the enemy red side. You set up some control wards. Like, all right, feeling good about this. Oh wait, all my vision control isn't around Baron, and the Baron being on the map actually will create a big divide here. So EDG will need a clear goal of what they are looking for, because you can't do both. You need to actually commit to one of your objectives.
It feels like in this game that Samsung are just giving up an inch, another inch, and it's just like, when are they going to draw the line? When are they going to say no more and then stop giving things over to EDG?
I mean, you say that, but it almost feels like they're giving away a half inch each time, because it's not a 6,000 gold lead. It's not a lot. It's been piling on, correct? It's 7 kills to 0, but the gold lead tells a tale. The Orianna piling on 3 items tells a tale. EDG probably feel great about where they're at. If you told them right now it was only 1,600 gold, they'd be surprised.
And so we just saw a shockwave come out of Crown. The reason that I bring this up is that Mako's items, you can't see them. He's bought 2 null magic mantles. Just 2 of them. He hasn't gone for the locket first item. I was going to maybe raise that as a potential problem for him earlier as he rushed a talisman, but his way of getting to that locket is through 2 null magic mantles.
So what's this build do, Rusty? Why has he got a talisman and boots too and some null magic mantles?
As if he needs more engage and cooldown reduction, Papa Smithy.
And he's basically saying, I'm going in there, I'm getting the first knock up, maybe I'll get out, don't really care. He's relying on that being enough, and at 2-item Callista, well
he's
this time it
definitely
doesn't
looking pretty engaged, but kind of just bumps them away there with the Scout's Wall.
Big cooldowns are down now, including the flash from Mako. Now he has the CDR boots. There is still going to be a bit of a reprieve in terms of 30 seconds of cooldown. But suddenly they can breathe a bit. And let's see how this side lane's actually looking between Mouse and Cuvée.
Cuvée has completed the Blade of the Ruin King. That means a lot of hurt for Mouse, who has to flash over the wall. Pocket Pistol comes in. He's actually just straight up dead in the 1v1. Cuvée straight up the outplay.
And you evolve the build. If it's the Titanic Hydra, you do frequently lose these trades. But having lifesteal and also the early burst gets him off Skull quickly. Suddenly, you're not as worried about the Kled, and maybe we're seeing that an adjustment in itemization will force us to really reconceptualize the matchup.
He's all right.
He jumps out once again as Cordoje was trying to find the pick there. But now EDG have to back away. There's no pressure in the bottom side. Cuvée is now pushing up that bottom side as well. So EDG back to base and back to the drawing board.
And of course, Mako, without his ultimate, without his flash, being the primary engage tool of this team of EDG, super risky for him, as we do get to see how this 1v1 actually pans out again in the bottom lane. And this is Cuvée 2 levels down.
2 levels down. No kills, about 0 and 3 when this starts. The itemization is clearly the different factor here. We mentioned it already. This Renekton not as good as diving enemy carries and bursting as the Titanic Hydra version, but when it's in the 1v1, having the lifesteal and the early burst, it clearly helps a lot.
He'll crush a front line for sure. And Mouse, I mean, he even had the stairs completed at this time of that duel, so big shock to the system for him. And that just means he needs to go into the bottom lane once more and be a lot more wary of Cuvée.
Yeah, the reverberations of a 1v1 like that are actually felt more than just a kill going over the board, the first of the game to Samsung, because now the game plan that they had that was focused on, all right, we got the gold, we got 7 kills, things are looking good, Kled out scales. Yeah. Now you're like, wait, the last part doesn't actually apply, and you have to, on the fly, make a new plan. As Samsung's plan of, let's just get every single creep we can get access to possible, they have a lot more CS than the enemy. When you look across the board, they have a CS lead in every damn role.
Clearlove getting caught out by Ambition. Lots of damage coming out, but doesn't complete the concussive blows. Mako was stepping up, but should be good for now. Has the jump over to Zet if he needs it. And for now, everything...
They're looking for a big flank here. You can see Mouse's positioning. He went through vision though, Samsung. Yeah. They're staying to the top side of the mid lane. Yes, he's on a control ward now. He'll be going for Ruler with the Weaver's Wall. Think of that duo if they can make it work.
Charge comes out, lands onto Core JJ to start this one, but Ruler's under attack and he is knocked up in the air and taken back down. Mako with the kill there. EDG trying to make it out alive now as Mouse takes a couple hits. Samsung not backing down. Clearlove approaching, comes in with the tunnel, wants to find a knockup. Meanwhile, Mouse is...
losing again in the fight.
Definitely not winning that one, 100%. Cuvée demounts Skull, and he will be backing away. So for now, it's another pick over to EDG, but they took a lot of damage.
This has been the story all game. It's crazy how many times it's been one pick, and if anything, a loss in tempo for the side of EDG. The first 2, they worked. They were able to take the top lane turret, take the Rift Herald. The moment they used the Rift Herald to swap it for a Mountain Drake, I wasn't 100% sure, but I'm thinking, okay, how much duration does the Rift Herald have? We don't have full information about that one. Since then, Samsung have got access to what feels like 80 to 100 more creeps than EDG, and they haven't been turning the few kills, the feel-good moments, into more. The control ward line was actually very robust for Samsung somehow around the Baron. And against the flow of play when it comes to kills, it feels like the LCK are playing this PvE style, and EDG really need to explode the game, and to do that, it needs to be the picks and the Baron.
And of course, one thing they'll look towards as we watch this again is that Mountain Drake, but Mouse Scout, this is the combo you're expecting. It's all about killing Ruler. Even cancelling the wall early is very smart, good awareness from Scout as the use of his champion, the mastery of Talia. But the problem here is you make that pick, QUE and Mouse, you still know QUE is going to win this 1v1, and he puts his effort towards zoning the rest of the team away from Clearlove, as he's just been chunked out.
Don't really know why he jumps in there. It looked like he was disconnected from his AD carry and just loses Skulls, so that was a small mistake. It was like the least exciting version of
speak of the
Oh, well, not again. I mean, Mouse, just literally nothing he can do in this. QUE solo kills him almost with full HP remaining, and Mouse simply cannot take these trades.
This game dumpstered in the side lanes in a way you would never have imagined when the matchup was selected. So QUE redefined the script, having a much worse early game. And I was like, okay, maybe QUE has been held down. We know what to expect of the Renekton. He's redefining expectations as a player in Summer, and he's doing it in this game as well. And every time that happens, the vision control around the Baron becomes more and more of a headache because they don't have the side lanes
Samsung have kicked this one off in vision of EDG.
Renekton's not there.
45.
Clearlove knows.
4v4 for now.
Hits the wall.
A lot of risk here.
Braum
drops it. Scout still facing off on this one set. Kind of away from Ambition,
out of the pit.
But QUE coming in, gets the charm up onto the back line, but Mako backs off once again. Samsung taking a lot of damage with Clearlove manning the front.
Teleport coming in 5 seconds. Samsung will just back away, and EDG,
but EDG
might actually start it up.
They have to force this one. They want to keep tempo on the map. The health bar's being so low for Samsung, except that big shockwave. The game changer is available.
Yeah, big AoEs here, the Fisher and also the Renekton ultimate. Here's the turn.
They're engaging.
And CallJJ already low. In fact, everyone's already wounded, but no one's dead just yet. Ruler goes down, looking for the second one on Ambition. Joust over the wall. QUE, he's split from the team. And Mouse, he's going to town. Double kill onto Crown.
They managed to get all of the kills straight back to the Baron if they would like. Of course, health bars are low.
Whoa.
Even QUE's gone.
Deleted 4 here. They will get the Baron as well. The turn was perfect. The Crown shockwave that he farmed up was only on 1. Very minimal effect in EDG. They finally got the objective that all the earlier picks were leading up to.
That was the tipping point in this game, and it just had the sinking feeling that Samsung would find that one fight, turn it around, and then never would EDG catch back up. But that was huge for them.
And a lot of this for me is just fundamentally Samsung make their first really forward play. They lose a lot of their health, being half committal to the Baron, and then Ambition goes over the wall to fight a little bit earlier than the rest of his team. Suddenly, with all that health just missing, they give EDG an option.
And the moment the turn didn't work, they were exposed to the teleport in, and EDG forced the Baron. Then the cooldowns went there. By the end, Crown was out of mana. He couldn't even shield himself to not die instantly to the oncoming Mouse. The cleanup was there. EDG now hilariously ahead in terms of both gold and also tempo on the map. Kills, everything working for them. Third Mountain Drake has spawned. Easy objective, but do they want to use their Baron duration to pick it up? It's actually a question you might have to raise.
I think they might still look towards it. Just not only is it the easy objective to take, it forces the Elder to spawn at this stage in the game.
Elder.
And having 3 mountains with an Elder, you'll take turret in no trouble at all. And this also just helps. You know, Baron duration's long enough that they can still look towards getting some structures. And with those 3 mountains, still very easy.
So much has just accelerated the Scout. Gets a knock off on the charm as well. So much damage.
That was a
shield. All right.
That was a Locket shield you'd have to imagine coming with that insanely large shield.
Back to full health.
That's not quite how it works. Not great health, sadly.
Temporarily.
Temporary back to full health, indeed. Man, they couldn't go for any more. EDG will continue to walk
bottom,
up.
Actually.
Remember, there is no inhibitor tower here. It was taken much earlier. CallJJ is on point.
He knows.
Yeah. Nice
interaction there is that you can block the Weaver's Wall with the Unbreakable.
Ooh, Cass comes in and doesn't really do too much on the side of EDG. Braum was actually really good there, otherwise that pretty much would have been a lost in hit.
Remember that Samsung still have front-to-back team fighting options, and that Crown were kind of overdue for the shockwave to make it worth all the extra time that was invested in him farming. So EDG, even taking this inhibitor is going to be a bit of a war.
You have to feel like it's the right idea still from EDG, trying to bring the Renekton to the team fights if Mouse is consistently losing in those 1v1s. They're starting to break down those structures. Even if they're not getting the inhibitor, it keeps the Orianna nearby, and that's when they push where the Orianna isn't.
QUARAKILL trying to chase down Mouse, but he's also completed the Guardian Angel at this point in time. And QUARAKILL, he can't chase him down these long lanes anymore because it simply isn't the ball game that we're playing. EDG are pushing in the bottom, pushing in the mid. Eventually something's going to crack.
That's a lot of cannons hitting on that turret as well, and Orianna wants to step up and clear them.
Doesn't want to shockwave them though to get the instant clear. He needs to have the threat of shockwave. Try to be able to stay competitive in fights. They do a bit of chasing bot side. It's another weave as well.
This one connects.
Is this a fighting weave as well? Looks like it.
Turning it around. Arrow from Ruler, but it's just non-committal from Samsung. EDG now with the wall going down. Still on stepping up, but they can just play it slow, not get caught. Because mid lane is eventually going to go down. That tower is on its last legs.
One auto attack really is all that takes to lock the tower down. So EDG also threatening bottom. This feels like maybe one too many things at the same time.
Bit of a reach, but Zed does manage to dodge that one. QUARAKILL jumping in, but a fantastic charm in from Mako, and that's the complete disengage.
A lot used for no gain from Samsung. Samsung can be happy they don't lose the inhibitor on that push. Baron buff duration starts to tick down. This game is so close to just tipping over for Samsung Galaxy. Feels like a vintage SKT game where you're like, when are they going to come online? What do we need to take? How do we end the game? And already EDG are having a bit of PTSD about yesterday.
Yep, so
ending games certainly not going to be right there when it comes to recent form for EDG. They've done so much right, finally getting the Baron after being frustrated and stagnated for so long, and yet everyone here is still clenching, I feel. No one here is confident yet that EDG, with all their advantages, are in the full driver's seat.
But this would be absolutely massive for LPL because if you think about it, MVP are set up to be taken down by some of these teams from the LPL. KT, again, a question mark. The only real silver bullet that they have is SKT. You know, SKT probably not going to lose to any of these teams. KT, of course, you would give the advantage to them, but opening up the match right here, right now in game one will be so big.
And it's one of those stories, right? People always say, well, how strong is Korea? For sure, because SKT is always there to pick up the big crown.
Well for QUARAKILL.
Yeah, we've trapped the Crocodile. In comes Ambition, turning us into a 2v2. He's taking so much damage from Scout. Turns it around, has the Randuin's coming out, but QUARAKILL flashes over. He doesn't have a Guardian Angel. And Mouse will get that kill. Ambition is one getting chased out. Doesn't land a bear trap on the road, but the rest of the team is reforging, seeing if they can try and, I don't know, stop the bleeding. But EDG have already taken out the top laner. They're going to go for this fight. Crown backing away. He has to flash out. Mouse knocked into the TG Scald. I mean, he does have the Guardian Angel, so he will drop that right here. Scout zoning away, looking for the flick, doesn't land. But the bot tower is down with the inhib and another inhib, double inhibs for EDG.
And of course, fantastic trade of Guardian Angel to get the second inhibitor in the mid lane. Good of Samsung to break it. Of course, at the same time, they don't overcommit themselves. They're aware, Samsung, that that's a risky fight to take without having QUARAKILL there. Still a very fragile build, though, QUARAKILL trying to commit to that split pushing. You like the adaptations, again, coming out of Scout to be able to come to that bottom lane, make the difference, and prevent Mouse from dying again.
I mean, the chunk outs here, even getting a chunk out on QUARAKILL is so relevant because it is the 3 Mountain Drakes, Rusty. Taking those inhibitors when they get to them is so easy. Note that QUARAKILL at no point actually pops the Dominus here for the extra health. By the end, popping it actually with the cast animation, he would have died during it, so it's not a factor, but you thought he would have considered popping it earlier. Second person dies, and the game could have ended in this scenario. So EDG, get 2 inhibitors, get out. Once again, set up for the victory. I can actually see it coming, Rusty. I'm sure you guys can too. But still, after yesterday, we're unsure.
2 inhibitors, 3 inhibitors if you like.
What's the sweet spot, Rusty? How many inhibitors do you need?
I need a dead Nexus.
How bad does it feel that 2 inhibitors are down at 42 minutes and there's, what, a 7,000 goalie, and we can't say that definitively EDG have this one in the bag?
I'm not going to be that guy that says anything until it happens.
Teams have to earn high expectations. That's kind of the fun things when well,
look at Mouse actually is
This could be the start of it. Mouse gets the good flying cuff onto Call JJ. Everyone's counting back right now. Ruler pretty much untouched. In comes Ambition as well for the flying cuff. This is that big mosh pit in the middle right now. Big kill on the ground. Clearlove and Mouse. One goes down, but Clearlove still alive. He tries to get to the bottom side of this fight, but Ambition looked to follow cast. Very close to landing. QUARAKILL knocks into the back line.
Still high health.
Mako jumps back to victory. Double in for Ruler. And Zed, he can't quite reach him. The stun comes out. Oh, another one in. But what can Zed do? Not quite enough. It's a 4 for 2
Look at Scout. 1v3.
1v3. What? This is an absolutely insane fight.
But it's a team fight that actually goes the way of Samsung Galaxy. All the analysts getting in position for the analyst desk, feeling like the game was over. We felt it yesterday, we felt it before, and yet it feels like it will go on. These team fights used to be EDG's stomping ground in 2015. They need to find a sound way to play them, because front to back from Samsung worked out.
And you know what, Papa Smithy? The biggest difference between winning and not winning this game for EDG is a Guardian Angel for Mouse. The fact that Rule is able to free hit this entire time, they focus, crown, and look how close he is to getting Skull back. Guardian Angel, and he's still alive.
And let's talk about close, because the precipice between being able to use the Shockwave and not with a 5-item crown was about a half second. Got the damage in, and Ruler, you said it right at the start of the fight, Pulse, was free hitting, continued to free hit. By now, his health bar was low, but the concussive blows being back available meant they could actually take down, eventually, the Callista. Oh boy.
Yeah, and then you realize
I'm starting to get the feel that you guys had yesterday, because this game, it's 44 minutes in, but apparently we still got some bonus to go.
And honestly, Scout is an absolute god, dodging the cast, doing all of the damage himself. The QSS from Zet, the smaller details as well, means so much in these late game fights, and ultimately we're back to square one with a Baron alive, and Samsung starting it.
This was a square that cost them last time, so they're back on the same square. We're playing Hollywood squares here, as we see EDG walking out.
It's very low, but Clearlove is here.
Charge. Clearlove over the wall, gets knocked away. Mouse with a flank as well. It's a full-blown fight. Mouse into the back.
Mako!
Huge knockout. Mako is a god. Here comes Clearlove, and everybody's starting to disintegrate from Samsung. Mouse turning it around. Ruler still alive. There's another knockup from Mako. He just doesn't stop. Ruler kiting back. Knockup from Clearlove. Someone needs to get on this guy.
Get Ruler!
Zed going after him. The flash over the wall. The quadra kill for Zed. The clean ace. And EDG running it down top lane.
They can just pop the heal and go to end the game. The minions are already in the mid lane. I think EDG has done it. They were thrown out as the sacrificial lambs, but they've been able to do it and get the first win on the board for the LPL.
How many heart attacks can EDG give us and the LPL? But they've finally done it. The Nexus turret's full. The Nexus itself is down. And EDG take game one.
And they do.